mėgstantiems klausyti tinklalaidžių, jas kuriantiems ar norintiems kurti. Audiofestivalis Banguoja. Rugpjūčio 16-28 dienomis. Daugiau informacijos banguoja.lt. Organizatorius Nepatogus kinas.
You don't know what it means to be black because you don't know what it means to be one thing. Who is when you know you're a brother and a son, a lover and a friend? Sometimes you say you're Ivorian, and other times you say je suis Ivoirien, which means you feel more French than British until you go to France, where your French isn't French enough. When you come back, you feel more British than Ivorian until you're offered tea or learn something about this country that puts you on the outside again. So you work and save enough to buy a ticket to fly back to where you were born. But even there, you're different. Your hair, your clothes and mannerisms betray any sense of you being a native. And as a result, you become a standard of both admiration and envy to loved ones and strangers alike.
Tu vois, j'organise par exemple les événements, si c'est pas la musique.
Your French may be Ivoirien enough, but what about your Bete, Jula, Aini? Mother tongues you never needed to learn in order to survive because you were over there. But what about here? Would you be able to make it? Just like that, after all the questioning, the doubts and endless soul searching, you accidentally find yourself on the outside again. But this time it's okay, because you weren't pushed. You're on the beach at the edge of the world, and it's warm here as well as kind. You have the time, space, and the sea to remind you of who you are before the world told you you were black.
People are really rather afraid that this country might be rather swamped by people with a different culture. And you know, the British character has done so much for democracy, for law, and done so much throughout the world.
Having mass interbreeding, that must lead ultimately to a mulatto Britain. We feel that if we have a mulatto population in the future, that must mean the downfall of the civilization and culture of our country, which we hold so dear.
The whites have become black. A particular sort of violent, destructive, nihilistic gangster culture has become the fashion.
The dirty black devil. Typical, isn't it, eh? The trouble with nignogs is they've got no self-control.
1/3 of my class are black children. Then I've got a bunch of half-caste children. I've got one little girl who's stunningly beautiful. She fell over, scraped all her face. I admit I was slightly surprised that where she scraped all her face, it's all pink underneath.
As far as I'm concerned, if there is a racialising dynamic in society today, it's this form of identity politics which effectively says you are a victim, you are oppressed, and that these people over the other side are really hate you and are looking to thwart you in some kind of way.
Great Britain is a small country and it's had enough. Okay. We don't want any more immigrants. We want Britain to be Britain.
And I did it for maybe a week, hoping some black bastard would come out of a pub and have a go at me about something, you know. so that I could kill him.
You had to dig deep to find it, to make sense of yourself again. Separating what's really you from whatever you picked up to keep going in this world. It can be both liberating and terrifying because maybe, for the first time, you learn you're not the familiar mask you have to wear. You're not this terrible thing that needs to be grateful for being here, and you don't need to soften the letters of your name for them to say it. You have never been too loud or too smart, an angel or the devil. In fact, you have never been any of the things you mysteriously felt obliged to be because you realize it's never been about you. You are black because you need to be, because they need you to be, in order to stay white.
14 world powers are discussing the future of the entire continent and how to carve it up. European powers had been setting up colonies in Africa for decades. Now they decided which parts of the continent they would each be allowed to treat as their own.
This is how you find yourself in a game you never asked to play. In a hall of mirrors where you see them more than you see you. But you can't afford to forget yourself, because knowing who you are is your way out. But after the mirrors and distractions, the names, countries, and the sea, after finding yourself on the outside, this time alone in the dark, separating from what you're not, can you truly say who you are?
X?
What? Hello. Good. Action Man is in the museum. Flash Gordon is in the museum.
Today, I went carol singing with my friends, and I went to the old people's house. Yeah, I didn't like to touch them because their hands were so too wrinkly. I didn't want to touch them.
Whoa. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Make your wish, man.
When am I gonna get rid of these braces?
She's bleeping good. Here's the replacement for the word F-U-C-K-I-N-G. Yeah?
This was my logo. I glued it onto a magnet which is glued to the fish. Pretty smart, eh? Very creative boy, am I?
Look, we are in the car on the way to Auntie Julius. Also. Mom's driving.
Who is you, man? Who is me? What art thou? I don't know.
Axel or
Daniel.
Also known as Daniel in this house.
Yeah.
In this house, you know, like Daniel.
See, my hair has been growth.
Oh god.
Growth in this.
Oh my god.
There's a lot of growth.
Inside my skin, she stirs with love.
Real.
That was the best medicine by finding stars.
So yeah, that's possible.
Okay, so straight down to business. Yeah, I think that's definitely a conversation with Ben to have.
Funny enough, I had a dream on Wednesday morning of you just messaging me again just to see how I am.
There is peace and pain, misery and joy. There are happy longings and fantastic terrors that keep you alive. There is art and childhood memories, little victories and bigger failures, but all the more reason to be proud. You have felt deep and imperfect things, but you've also known love in some of its faces and all of its names. But knowing this won't save you from discrimination and prejudice. It won't stop the suspicious stares or awkward followings in spaces you know you belong. Knowing this won't stop the clutched purses or the road crossings away or towards you with the want to hurt or more. But it gives a context to the courage, a reason for the patience, and the power to being human before you were black.